Welcome! In this demo, we will show you how to score data from MySQL in ADAPA using Pentaho Data Integration. Assuming that a PMML model is already deployed in ADAPA, we will retrieve data from MySQL, convert it to a JSON format, score it using ADAPA's REST API, capture predictions from the scoring engine, and write the results out to a CSV file. We will be using the El Niño dataset and corresponding neural network model in this example. First, we need to get the data to be scored. We start by creating a new transformation in Pentaho. We create a table input step to connect to the MySQL database. Select a new connection and set MySQL as the connection type. Configure the host, database, port, username, and password, and test if the connection was successful. We then select the database table to retrieve the data for scoring. For this example, we select the El Niño underscore and N underscore data table. It is always good to preview the input table to make sure it is populated correctly. In the next step, we will transform the input data into JSON format. This is necessary because the ADAPA REST API expects JSON input. We add a JSON output step and set operation type to output value. In the output value field, we give it the name JSON output for use in later steps. Also click the Fields tab and make sure the fields are retrieved correctly. These fields are defined in the mining schema of the PMML model. Finally, we click the green play button to launch the transformation and make sure all elements were configured successfully. The ADAPA REST API requires a URL for each record, so in this step, we transform our JSON output into a URL by using a modified JavaScript value element. We simply use the JSON output to compose a URL for each record that needs to be scored. In this script, we'll get the variables from JSON output, trim and replace some characters for the URL format, add the server path, and write back the replaced value into the JSON output variable. Once again, we'll launch the transformation and make sure all elements were configured successfully. The next step involves model execution and scoring the data. We now add a REST client step to accept the URL from the variables we generated previously. It is good practice to make sure the REST client is using JSON type. We'll then configure the REST client with the correct username and password for accessing ADAPA. Finally, we define the name of the predicted field, which will contain the output returned by ADAPA. The next step is capturing predictions with Pentaho. The output obtained from ADAPA is in JSON format, and so we'll add a JSON input step. In this case, if we would like to retrieve a single output among many, we use the Fields tab to define the path in the JSON object to get a specific value. We can now write the output to a flat file. We'll add a text file output step to select the file options and the fields we would like to write. In this demo, we use a comma-separated format as the output file type, so we change the settings accordingly. This includes changing the file extension to CSV and changing the separator to a comma. In the Fields tab, we choose which fields we want in the file. We now run the transformation to generate the predictions. This CSV file will contain the input value of the El Niño neural network model as well as the scored output. Finally, we open the CSV file to see the scored output generated by ADAPA.